eye on Dorit and Teddi will just, yeah, I mean, that makes sense sometimes, the one that you're on the rebound with. Well, I have more relationship questions for a woman, since we're on this, for a woman named Bethenny Frankel. Now, she is born, her name is Bethenny Frankel. She is born 11/4 1970. She was
Scorpio.
on, right. So we're leaving Scorpio, we're leaving Beverly Hills. She was on a show called The Real Housewives of New York. She lives in New York and Connecticut and the Hamptons. She actually, some say, well, let me not even give you anything. I keep forgetting. Just tell me what you feel for Bethany, and then I can get into some details.
So this is a very interesting person. Um, I really like her. I feel very much like she is somebody who can come across very cold, and calculating, which is not unusual with Scorpios. Scorpios are actually very, very passionate people. But outwardly, they can be extremely mysterious, extremely secretive. Um, this feels like someone who did not start off with a fair shake. There is a lot of trauma. There is a lot of issues. I do feel like she's in a really good place where it feels like she has had a lot of growth and a lot of perspective on relationships. And so it actually feels like she's in a better place now to be. Does she have one child?
Yes, she has one child.
So it does feel like she's in a better place to be a mother. It also feels like she is in a better place to be a partner. I'm seeing like a series of failed relationships. And so I think that that's probably been the hardest thing for her because it doesn't feel like she was taught to connect emotionally. And so it feels like, she had to collect all those tools in her toolbox. So I don't think she's built anything with anyone that was substantial prior to now. I do feel like in the next, I don't know if it's going to be 2025, maybe later in 2025, I do think she is going to connect with someone that I think she's going to be able to move forward with and kind of have a better, healthier relationship with.
She had, I mean, not that I know her personally, but she had a rough upbringing, like a mother who kind of partied and a father who was at the racetracks, and they were well to do, but I don't think she had a lot of nurturing or
Yeah.
parenting. Sometimes when your parents are absent, that's kind of all you want. Like people think they want freedom as a child until you actually have two parents that give you complete freedom, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the big reasons that this person seeks validation and recognition is because she didn't get that at a young age. And the truth of the matter is that if you have a strong male role model father figure who really sees you and respects you as a young lady, you don't seek attention because you know what it feels like to be seen. And I think this is somebody who has sacrificed a lot in the pursuit of being seen, but really hasn't been seen in the right way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, she has had a bunch of failed relationships. Well, recently they've been successful guys, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because she's working all the time, like you said. I mean, she's very into the work. She's very into her business.
She's a gangster. I don't know how else to describe her. Like, you know what she reminds me of? Have you seen that documentary about Martha Stewart on Netflix?
I haven't. I used to work for Martha Stewart a long time ago in another lifetime. So every single person that has in my life has asked me. I am the only person that hasn't seen it, but a lot of people have asked me if I've seen it. So that's what she reminds you of.
Yeah. Like it feels like someone who I don't think is an awful person. I think she has a capacity for love, but it feels like she is a workaholic. She prioritizes outcomes. She judges people by what they can produce and if they're competent. And so I think she really alienates a lot of people because of that. But underneath, I actually feel like she's very independent, intuitive, like a lot of good things.
She was funny enough. She was actually on, I don't know if you know this, there was a show after Donald Trump's The Apprentice. There was a Martha Stewart The Apprentice for one season. And Bethenny, this is prior to her being on Housewives. She was on that show and she came in second. She did come in
Oh
second.
my gosh.
And Martha
Okay.
notoriously said, you're loud, you're rude, you're obnoxious, you'll never amount to, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, you're not for my
Hmm.
company. And so she came in second, but she didn't win because she was too like a bull in a china shop. And her and Martha have had this thing throughout the years of like, do you regret it now, Martha? Because I mean, look at me. She's gone on to be very successful from the
Hmm.
housewives business. Like she had a company and she sold it and it made a ton of money.
Yeah. I think she's a smart businesswoman. I think there's a lot to learn from her. I think she's a mess when it comes to personal relationships. I think she's getting better about that because she's taking more accountability. And but it is funny. I don't know, of course, I don't know these women at all. But based off of what I'm seeing, it's funny that people who are similar in a lot of ways tend to not get along. And so that makes sense what you said.
And I think, like you talk about seeking approval, I think she sought Martha's approval even after that, after she was famous. Like they notoriously, she had a talk show for a minute. Martha was on it. She kind of told Martha off on the and very nicely, like in a joking way. And like Martha's like, oh, you weren't really likable. I mean, I think they've come together now.
Yeah.
So you say like maybe for her, the end of the year, like middle of the year, she is with someone new now. This guy's name is Tom Vellante. I mean, he's successful. I mean, it's a new relationship. Do you see her still on her journey, or could this be the one, or do you get bad feelings about this guy? There are some things he's done recently that I'm curious about.
Yeah, I don't think that he is going to be a long-term partner for her. I will say, I think she's kind of starting to get it right in relationships. I think some people come into our lives because they're meant to be there long term, and sometimes it's a meaningful connection, but it's meant to give insight. And I think that's what this guy is there for. Um, so yeah, I don't see them. I feel like they're going to separate pretty early in 2025.
You do.
Hmm.
There's some things. I mean, look, when you're on a dating app, you can reach out to everyone, right? Until it's serious with one person. You're not obligated. There is this thing that recently surfaced that he was talking to another housewife that used to be on New York. Sometimes we have this other guy, Louis Realias, and this other guy, John Jansen. We don't need to get into that here today, but they have dated several housewives. So just like to me, a little bit of a red flag, but again, maybe it's nothing like when you're talking to one New York housewife. I mean, there's a lot of people on the dating app. How is this? Is that
Hmm.
really a coincidence? So, but you see what a separation early in the year.
I do. I feel like he isn't attracted to her for who she is at the core. It feels more like a superficial attraction. And I'm not feeling like that is a coincidence. I feel like he likes the status, he likes the attention, he likes the validation and the clout. Um, yeah, and I think at this point she is looking for someone that she can have more of a authentic, intimate relationship with, which that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. The last person to focus on today, it's a guy. His name is Tom Sandoval. He was born July 7th, 1982. What type of vibes or feelings do you get from this guy? You
Oh,
just
he's a hot mess. This guy. Okay, so